you set your goals, right? Every year you go in, you do your evaluation and here's your goals. I was like, you could set those goals for me, but my goals are like way up here. You don't even have to tell me what your goals are because mine are going to be way better than those. Life lessons for me, number one is you got to stick up for yourself, even if it means fighting. And you don't have to fight. If we had talked it out, we wouldn't have had to throw any punches. But what that did was that didn't create a fighting personality for me. It was in me. My mom just brought it out. So I had this kind of this, I'm going to fight my way through life kind of attitude when I didn't even understand or realize it. And moving forward, when I was in high school, you can't win all the time. Sometimes you fail. And I went out, decided to play freshman football in high school. And I was 80 pounds going against 150, 200-pound kids. And I got demolished, right?
Clobbered.
So within a couple of weeks, after riding my bike 14 miles to practice and from practice, I decided to quit. I quit football practice. And that was the most devastating event, second most devastating event up until that time. And I almost couldn't overcome it because my personality was telling me, why did you quit? You let yourself down, you let your teammates down. And I got that feeling that I never wanted to quit, and I never would quit again after that experience. And so now I'm moving forward and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. I'm a junior in high school. I think I'm going to go to college to study marine biology. My mom says she's not paying for college. So then I went to the military to start looking in the military. And I wanted to do exciting stuff. I wanted to be Jacques Cousteau with a machine gun. Actually, I just wanted to be Jacques Cousteau at that time. But I loved James Bond and I loved Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea and Sea Hunt and all those great shows. And those were things that guided me. And there I was in the Coast Guard recruiter, and they wanted to be a swimmer air rescue is what they told me. So I said, okay, just put it down on paper that I'm going to go to this school, and they wouldn't do it. So I walked down the hallway to the Navy, and I went to the Navy recruiter, and I had no idea what UDT SEAL was, Underwater Demolition Team SEAL Team. And I looked through the book, found the description, no idea. Literally, I did not know what a SEAL was at the time, but it described all the things that I always wanted to do when I was a kid. And I said, this is what I want to do. And like I said before, the recruiter said, no way, pick something you can do. You can't do that. And I wouldn't let him dissuade me from going forward with that. I said, no, this is what I'm going to do. I went in the Navy and I passed the test. And I went to BUD/S to become a SEAL.
Yeah. And I think you said you broke your legs through the first round and then you went back to the second class and made it through. Is that?
Yeah. One of the things you do when you're going through SEAL training is you run and then you run more. And then after you run more than that, we were running a marathon a week in boots on pavement just to run to and from each meal. And then you have running on top of that. I got there early, so I started running before most people. And then within 2 months, I had cracked both of my shins and stress fractures from running. I don't want to say it's typical, but it does happen to guys. And so right before Hell Week, I don't know if you're familiar with Hell Week, but 2 days before Hell Week, I failed a 4-mile timed run because I was running on 2 broken legs and a pulled groin. And after I failed that, got tested. They told me what was wrong. The review board had me in their office and they said, anybody who can run on 2 broken legs and a pulled groin for 4 miles, you get another shot at this. So I waited 8 weeks and started over, and this time I finished. But there's a lot to unpack in that story, and there goes into great detail in the book. And one particular story that actually changed my life. Everybody who goes through BUD/S has a life-changing moment. There's some time in there that not everybody's strong at everything. It's either swimming, running, obstacle course, whatever it is. You have to get over that thing that is holding you back. And mine was running, and I kept failing runs, and I was fall behind on all the conditioning runs. And I finally had a come to Jesus meeting with myself and whatever great power was under control at the time. I was falling behind on a run, and I just told myself I was either going to catch up or I was going to die right there at that time. I was going to run until it killed me, literally. And I had an out of body experience. I ran. I don't even remember doing it. It was like I was looking down on myself. I ran and I caught up to everyone and I never fell behind again. And that is the moment in my life that I realized I could do anything.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've heard other stories about people going through buds. It's like you said, that they have something that they push through that is very similar to that story. Of course, the circumstances are always different, but you had this secret sauce going into it that I think a lot of the people who get up and ring the bell that you would never think would ring the bell just by looking at them on the outside didn't have. And that is, you, at a very early age, you discovered this pathological persistence, this I will not quit, period. And I'm willing to go all the way, even to the point of death. And that last example, I'm just not going to quit. And that's probably, I would say, from an outsider, way outsider, looking into these stories, something that seems to be a common thread to all of them is that people don't understand that these physical challenges are one thing, but that's not really what they're looking for ultimately is those physical attributes. They'll get you there. They'll condition you, but you got to have that kind of heart, determination, and pathological persistence to push through, or you'll never make it.
And I'm going to take it one step further. And I don't know if other people have had this comment or suggestion, but it's not enough not to just quit. Not stopping the action that you're doing or the mental challenge is not enough. You have to succeed. If I didn't run fast enough to pass the timed run, if I didn't study enough to pass the test, not quitting doesn't mean you've succeeded. And so that's a whole nother level of, okay, I'm not going to quit. No, that's not enough. That's what I tell people. You have to be successful. You have to understand where the finish line is, and you got to get across it in the time that's allotted. I think that's the way you really push through life. And when you look back, you get goosebumps about, wow, I did all these things. And that, if that's what excites you, that's what makes you the best person in the room. Not the certificate, not the title.
The other thing you said was, you're the one who's doing the assessment. Yeah, there may be this outcome, but you set that goal that you just said beyond what the expectation was of your boss or whatever the situation may be. And ultimately, you're the one that's judging it. It's the competition against yourself. You have to not quit, but then there's this whole second level is you do need to succeed. And then you're the one who measures what the success is. Coming back to where we started.
Bingo.
Yeah. All right. Oh, that's gold.
I think you've done this before.
I have bloody knees, so to speak. I've had some measure of success, but I think a lot of us struggle with these things because we haven't, it gets back to people get on sort of a treadmill in life. And it really isn't. The Woody Allen quote, all 98% of life is showing up is not really true. It is true, but it's so low of a bar. It's ridiculous because you can show up and you can meet obligations and you can be okay, but is that really the kind of life you want? And so if we don't pay attention, we don't have awareness, we don't do the kind of introspection you're talking about and continually push ourselves forward, I think there's going to be a lot of regret when you get to the end.
And you don't want to be on your deathbed when you have the realization that I could have done so many other things. You want to be able to be there and say, I've done so many things.
And I think at this point in the conversation, I'll slide in my little philosophy, which is basically that we're all gifted from God above. And part of us reaching that fulfillment is making sure we understand what that gift is and to get it in action and have the kind of determination that we've been discussing and to faithfully steward that gift. But at the end of the day, we can say, well done, we did it.
I would say persistence and determination is perseverance, and that's putting it all together. And that's really the goal for me, is to persevere, is to get through it. And you need both of those things. You need determination, get rid of that fear, and you need persistence. You just day after day, because when you wake up, let's face it, not everybody wakes up every day. I don't. Oh, I'm a hard charger. I'm going to be 100% today. But it's not the everyday, it's the persistence to push through that feeling where you don't feel like you're going to do it or be 100% that day, and the determination to do it for a long time.
Yeah. Compounds over many days.